I'm joined now by my guest, who is an agribusiness expert and a farmer as well, in the person of Dr. AJISEFINNI AYODEJI. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us on Business Daily today.
Good morning, everybody, and I welcome everyone to this program.
It is a delight to have you on the program this morning, Doctor. But I will want to hear your own personal experience. You've seen, some of the comments that we have gotten on social media. Unfortunate circumstances there, being experienced by farmers across the nation, talking about flooding, washing out, their premature crops, and some of these other farmers having to, harvest their crops prematurely. But let's hear from you now. How have these recent floods affected your farming operations?
The truth of the matter is this is a setback to food security in Nigeria, to the government and to the farmers. Everybody is a loss. For somebody to harvest a crop that is not ready to be harvested has nothing to do with that business. Therefore, saying the truth, it has a negative and high calamity on food security in Nigeria.
Indeed, it is a setback, like you have rightly spoken, to food security in Nigeria, especially since even before the floods, we already had started to have deep conversations across, breaching the gap in food security. But let us also hear how significant is the impact of these floods in, Nigeria's food security beyond the northern region of Nigeria now, because we also understand that some other states across the south and the west have been vulnerable to, the flooding, like Anambra State in the southeastern part of Nigeria. But what long-term effects are expected from this flooding situation?
The long-term effect expected from this situation is hike in price of food, because the little ones that can sustain and have little products to sell to the market will hike their price. And secondly, they are not harvesting up to expectation. They have no choice than to sell the remaining ones at the price that will make them to come to a break-even level. And the long-run effect of this is that we will continue to have shortage in the supply of food to our community, and malnutrition will continue to exist within us.
Fortunate outlook there, talking about the long-term effect of the current floods that is being experienced by farmers across the nation. But let us go on a short break. When we return, the conversation continues, and my guest, who is Dr. AJISEFINNI AYODEJI, still on standby to stay. And you are still watching Business Daily, coming to you live on Trust TV. And just before the break, we started a conversation proper, and we are looking at the current state of Nigeria's agricultural sector, especially as farmers are grappling with flooding. And we did ask, Nigerian farmers across social media to share their experiences with the current flooding situation. And we unfortunately got, quite a number of responses that were very, very demoralizing, I should say. But I still have my guest here with me. He is an agribusiness expert in the person of Dr. AJISEFINNI AYODEJI. Thank you again, Doctor, for joining us on Business Daily today.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, Doctor, we have, given a surface definition or description of what is currently being faced by farmers. And of course, you did see, the social media comments that we have received. Indeed, farmers are grappling with intense flooding in parts of Borno State, in Anambra State, and some other major food-producing areas across the nation. But let me ask you now, as someone who is an agribusiness expert, are there any practical steps that farmers can take to safeguard their crops against future floods in the short term? Is there anything that can be done differently to ensure that the floods do not, unfortunately, wash away their produce from their farmlands?
as it is, there is no short-term way. The only way forward is for us to plan another way of doing our business, to get things done in the normal way. That is, we'll concentrate on get government support in dry season farming for the areas that is prone to flood. That is just the only way for the situation we have now. Number two is for we, the farmers, to come together and have a concentrated farm settlement. For government to support the farmers to locate and clear enough land in an area that is not prone to flood. This system of individual farming in different locations is a serious problem, and that is why the issue of flood is happening. Seriously. Yes, there are some areas that are close to water sites and they see experience, but we look inward. It is now a responsibility both the Federal Ministry of Agri and the farmers identify areas that are prone to flood, and for the farmers not to do rain-fed farming during that period. They can only be using the place during the dry season, and that is why, and that is now the responsibility of government to support farmers in providing mini irrigation that will sustain their farming in the dry season. Thank you.
Well said. But let's continue with your comment on investment, on government investment in dry season farming. I would like for you to emphasize more on that. Even though you did talk about, the government's providing irrigation facilities for farmers to properly farm during the dry season area. But what other government support and food security initiatives would you like to see come from the government?
Number one, when we are talking about the government, let's come back to the level of government, the local government. It's responsibility to look and source for land.
We seem to have lost our guest there, Dr. AJISEFINNI AYODEJI, who is an agribusiness expert. But while we try to reconnect with him, the conversation so far has been on flooding across the nation and how farmers are currently grappling with floods in, certain food producing states in the nation. And when we did go through, comments across social media, we got some very unfortunate responses as regarding, what farmers are really going through and how that is impacting not just their ability to farm, but also their ability to feed their families and fend for themselves. And of course, farmers also, commented asking for some sort of government support. And I believe our guest is back with us. We have Dr. AJISEFINNI AYODEJI right here with us on the call. Thank you, Doctor, for returning. And I would like for you to continue your thoughts on intervention.
Sorry, it's raining every day.
Should come from the different levels of government.
As I was saying, this level of government that needs to do the first assignment is the local government to provide a farmland cleared with mini irrigation system for farmers to use during the season. For the areas that are prone to flood, we know that during the rainy season, they should avoid farming in that area. And during the dry season, they can return back to that area. And what is the alternative during the rainy season? They look for another location that is not prone to farming. And that is the reason why farm settlement, community farm settlement is now necessary, not even necessary, compulsory to practice. For we, the farmers, we know we are experiencing serious setback with this, but we need to local government during the season to work on to partner with them and use the cleared land that is not prone to flood.
Doctor,
This
beyond
can
crop
be a short.
farming,
This
we
can be
also,
a short-term
did get responses from some social
relief
media
because
commenters talking about, flood affecting their
hello.
animal husbandry businesses. One also did mention that, the floods had washed all of his animals away. I mean, unfortunate pictures being painted by farmers across the nation. But I would like for you to speak regarding that now, talking about livestock and poultry industry challenges. How have the current flooding situation, impacted not just crop farming, but livestock rearing across the nation?
I have a practical example for you here in Ilorin, Kwara State. Last week, the flood affected a farm settlement of fish farmers, cut away millions of naira worth of fish. And the reason for this is, yes, we cannot control the water not to get and do whatever it wants, but it affected them, and we need to look inward. What can we do to avoid this subsequent reoccurrence? Having our farm very close to river band will be considered as red area. Let's see how we pray from getting close to river bank. Yes, close to river bank resources, because of lack of resources, get close to bank, the natural disaster, which I don't know insurance can cover. It has a serious setback on the fish farming, and that will even invariably increase the price of fish, especially catfish in the market, because majority of the farmers that are using hectine pond, that is naturally being affected with this flooding system.
Does this have any side effects in the area of production, such as, production amongst livestock, poultry production, cattle production? Are there, side effects does this flooding now have any side effects regarding production?
It has serious effect on the production because that flood have cut away all its livestock. The remaining ones will be very expensive in the market. And another thing is, such a person is now going back to start from scratch. The only people that can be saying they are not affected do not have experience of flood. But the area by there is flood, either river bank or not river bank. Farm, it has a very serious negative impact on such an investment.
Indeed, you've spoken, rightly how this will, trickle down to the final cost by, consumers. You find out that these would lead to inflation at the end of the day. But I would like for you to speak regarding, government interventions. You've spoken as to what government should do, financing and all of those. But beyond that, there is the proposal of the, Ministry of Livestock Development. What can be done to address these concerns permanently? Are there any permanent solutions that can be, put in place to ensure that even though there might be floods in future, but then again, animals, livestock, poultry and the likes remain safe despite the flooding?
Thank you very much. Number one step, start from the farmers. When you are looking for sites to locate your farm, flood management of the occurrence of flood in that area. That's why in business development, we say, first thing in business is environmental factor. Don't look at the land you want to use for your farm. Look at the environmental part. That is number one factor that we, in confirm. We need to talk to the people in that environment. What is the effect of flood in your area? If you can handle it, but if you cannot handle, don't endeavor to invest in that area. Look for another location. And number two, see with the investors. Insurance is very important. Let's look at how we can insure our property, insure our business. Yes, this is natural disaster, and this has to be considered by the insurance organization. In case of eventuality of natural disaster, the aid of their clients, because this is a serious setback to individual that is affected. And for the Ministry of Life, they need to come up on advocacy and general knowledge on flood management for livestock farmers, especially fish farmers. And when I say fish farmers, categories of people that have direct impact of 50% of our fish farmers are using natural means, that is, acting pond. No matter how high their dike of their acting pond is, when flood happens, it overflows. What can we do? What remedies can we do? These are the assignments that is expected to be done by both the farmers and the Ministry of Livestock. For poultry farmers, it has little impact. It only affects the production of their eggs or meat, because too much of flood in the poultry environment gives shock to the chicken, and that affects their growth and the production of egg. Another way it affects the poultry farmers is in an environment where flood enter into the farm. It destroys the open house and cut away all the livestock, the chicken that are there. Same thing applies to animal husbandry. It does the same. And the impact of this is loss of payments. It's there to assist the farmers. Insurance. And that is why the issue of insurance needs to now be taken serious. And livestock ministry needs to encourage farmers, when you are going into livestock business, this type of a thing. May God help us.
You have emphasized repeatedly on the importance of insurance, but let me hear from you. In your interaction with most farmers, how would you gauge the level of awareness regarding insurance amongst farmers now?
The truth of the matter is, so many farmers don't believe in insurance. The advocacy, the publicity is very low. Awareness of reason why you need to insure your farm is very low among the farmers. It's not only the farmers that needs, it's not only the farmers that you need to insure. You need to insure yourself, because look at this flood. A lot of farmers will have BP because of loss of their investments. A lot of them will result investment. How will they survive it? Unfortunately, the insurance organization in Nigeria are not creating enough awareness, and farmers have lost confidence in so many insurance policies, because when it comes to the issue of claim, that is when you see the true position of insurance organization. It is very necessary now for government to intervene in the issue of insurance of livestock and of agribusiness. Look into it critically. If the premium will need to be increased, let them increase it and do the needful. Before the farmers is when they will be bringing clauses that come to farmers. So many farmers do not believe in insurance, but there's nothing that can help for it insured. Any intervention needs to be insured. That is the position I have on the insurance issue. Low awareness among the farmers. Enforcement of insurance into agri is not there,
technological advancement or modern technologies that can be used to prevent losses now, to prevent loss of crops even before harvest time. Like we pointed out earlier, we have seen cases where the flood had washed away some crops ahead of harvest. But are there any agricultural technology now or technology in general, modern technology that can be used to prevent such losses. Can you educate us, please?
Identify technology that can prevent premature harvesting. The truth of the matter is we have been, before the planting season, the areas that we may be affected by flood. For the first time in Nigeria, the forecast is coming to reality. We, the farmers, should not take the forecast for granted. It's better we don't do it than for us to do it and lose our investments. There are some states in Nigeria, in the northern part of Nigeria, that we, the farmers, should be careful that not in these areas. Why then do we have to go and invest in that area? And what do we expect when governments, when the NAMET have spread this out to us? Expect the government in each of the states affected to encourage their farmers not to go there and provide an alternative location for them, so that if the flood comes, it will not affect their, affect their investment. But here it is. What technology can we adopt to prevent it? All the unripe crops can never be harvested. If you harvest, it's a waste. Something that is not ready for harvest, you harvest it. There's no how you can become a waste. For my own present knowledge, I don't think there's anything we can do rather than for us to prevent it. It has happened. The prevention medium is for us not to start the planting or rearing in an area that has been declared red, meaning that any location that has been declared not to use because of flood, our farmers, please don't go there. Please don't go there. I'm appealing to us. It affects everyone. Don't let us say it comes. Farm settlement has to come back. Each local government must have minimum of outside the area for rain, the dry season. Let everybody go back to their permanent farm. That is my own suggestion, my personal opinion.
Well said, especially, looking at weather forecast and, forecast from NIMET and meteorological forecast in general. It is important that we take, this forecast very seriously to avoid and prevent, produce losses ahead of time. But looking at the recent development, the month of September especially, was a tough one for most farmers, including yourself, Doctor. So I will like for you to speak from a personal place now, on a personal point of view. What additional support would you expect from the government? There has been cases where, government has intervened and has, provided fertilizers, has provided, improved seedlings and the likes. But beyond that now, what other form of interventions do you expect from the government?
Technical and service. Let our government use the extension service to the rural farmer. If there is an existence of extension service provider to the rural farmers, maybe some of them wouldn't take the risk of farming in the red zone. Another thing government can do to help us is to declare some area for as red zone area during the rainy season for farmers not to use. Yes, government intervention in seedlings, good seedlings, fertilizers. Yes, but government to do, the federal government have said they have a mechanized tractor assembly plant will be in for farmers to have the access to these tractors, because cost of clearing is a serious capital intensive for farmers. Government total subsidy in agricultural for more. Yes, a farmer that needs 10, the government is giving them maybe 3 or 4 or 5. It's a means of subsidy, free of charge. We need subsidy in the land clearing. We need subsidy in the harvest and post-harvest facilities. All this needs to be considered as a means of food security and make food cheap to Nigerian citizens.
And just before we go, we will like for you to, pass a message to other farmers that are grappling with what you are also, going through. That is, pre-harvest losses. Usually we would focus on post-harvest losses, but it seems as though there has been even more losses before harvest in recent times. So let's hear from you, Doctor.
Well, my prayer and appeal to them, all the affected farmers in the country, it's a setback, and this is part of the risk involved in whatever business we are doing. It's a lesson for us as a farmer, as a business, to take agric as a business, and for us to mitigate against involved in our business. God will to bring you back to farm. Let's take this as a lesson. God that makes you to bring you back to farm. Don't. A failure is someone who refuses to go back. Go back with strength.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. AJISEFINNI, who has spoken extensively to the current state of the Nigeria's agriculture sector, especially as farmers are grappling with floods, and some of them have been forced to harvest ahead of harvest time. Unfortunate situations as being narrated by most farmers across all the social media platforms. But keep the conversation going across all of these platforms on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and of course on Twitter. And let us hear from you. How are you coping with the situation? And we'll be there with you to interact and of course give you our words of encouragement from our end. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.